about your background and what led you to do what you're doing now.
Okay, so I always say I'm not a historian or a scholar of any kind, but I'm excited about history. And if you look at my bio on the website, I like to say that history doesn't excite me, it engulfs me. So I always want to know more about what has happened. I'm finding out more and more about our stories that we didn't know. And I think about my own journey in my own life and how I think I would have had a lot more self-esteem earlier on in life if I had known about some of the great things that we have done. Every time my family comes to town, they want me to give them a tour, right? And so, I kind of had a natural inclination towards it. And then I said, well, in DC, you can get a tour all day long, but you can't get an African-American tour. You can't get the information about these little-known stories that I think would bolster pride in anybody, right?
Right.
So that's kind of how the company Truth Be Told came about.
Wow. And you know what? That's such an interesting name for a company, Truth Be Told. How did you even come up with that name for the business?
So the name fell out of the sky when I decided that I was going to go forward with the company and actually formally do it. I said, okay, let me set up a LLC. So I'm working with a lady who helps people do this, and she said, well, come up with your company name. So I came up with 4 or 5 of them, none of which I really liked, because I was trying to capture what we actually do and why we exist. It's hard to do that in 3 or 4 words. So Truth Be Told just fell on me because that's what we want to do. Our story has not been truthfully told. It's been told, but not truthfully told. And it was about a day later, she came back and said, you got the name. And so I was like, wow. Yes.
So Nate, tell our audience, what are some of the highlights that they can expect on that tour? What are some of the walkaways? Because let me say this, especially being someone from the DMV area, we take so much for granted. I mean, I look when I go sometimes downtown. Just yesterday, I told you I had to go downtown. And I saw tons of people downtown, Freedom Plaza, at the White House, all the memorials. And I said, now here I am, a native of this area, and haven't even visited some of those places. I worked at one time on Capitol Hill, but that was because I worked there.
Right.
But then you have people who spend tons of money, time and so forth to come here. But to get into the nitty gritty of the city,
right? The
Shaw neighborhood, for one. Tell us more about that. What can we expect?
So I wanted to respond to the where we are now in the state of my tours. Like most tours, you get on a bus and you go around. I realize that people are still a little bit uncomfortable with that. So I wanted to do something that kind of took that into account. Okay. So the Shaw tour is a walking tour. It's a 2-hour walking tour. You're going to get about 10,000 steps.
All right, y'all heard that.
Right?
You're going to get those 10,000 steps in at one shot.
Exactly. And it's 2 miles, so it's an easy walk through the Shaw. You're going to get a perspective on the Shaw neighborhood as it once was and as it is now. So Shaw was where we lived, where we worked, and where we played. It was where we could settle. Its original name was Mid-City. It was renamed around the 60s with a Renaissance, and it was given the name of Shaw in honor of Colonel Robert Shaw, who was the commander of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, United States Colored Troops. They made a movie, Glory.
Yes.
That's Colonel Robert Shaw. So in Shaw neighborhood is you'll find Black Broadway, which is U Street. So you have you have the Civil War African American Museum and Monument, Duke Ellington's houses in Shaw, Carter G. Woodson's houses in Shaw, the YWCA, the YMCA. These were the places where we could congregate. These were the places where we could meet. These are the places where we could eat, and these were the places where we could get a room. If you came to Washington D.C. and you weren't staying with someone, you were staying at the Y, more most likely. And the YWCA and the YMCA are still there. And as we go by, you'll see they are large facilities because they had gymnasium, they had rooms where you could sleep, they had places where you could eat. In fact, the YMCA is the place where Thurgood Marshall assembled his legal team as they strategize for Brown versus Board of Education. It's right there. We're going to take a look at alley living in Washington, D.C., which is a little known period of history where people actually lived in little shanties in alleys. Washington, D.C. is full of alleys, by the way.
Yes.
With no infrastructure, no lights, no plumbing. These were unscrupulous businessmen who constructed these things and rented them out, right? We're going to take a look at...
minute,
yes.
So you're saying that they rented out living quarters in an alley?
Yes. It was not uncommon. The Whitelaw Hotel, which is a little known, wonderful story of just kind of someone just kind of like, you know, you hear the term self-made.
Yes.
Well, John Whitelaw is a self-made man. He taught himself to read and write. His parents were formerly enslaved. He came to Washington, D.C. as a bricklayer's helper. And he is the founder of the Industrial Bank of Washington and the Whitelaw Hotel. And the Whitelaw Hotel was the first class hotel made for blacks and by blacks.
This is the stuff we don't get in the history book, in our history courses.
Right, exactly. I mean, how should you never heard that?
Stuff. We don't hear about this.
Exactly.
I tell you, Nick, I thank you so much for our time together. The truth is being told. So, folks, we look forward to seeing you on Saturday, July the 16th. And if you can't make it on that one, our second day for our tour is Saturday, August the 6th, starting at 11 a.m. But we want you to show up at the Shaw Metro Station at 10:45 so that we can be able to start the tour at 11 a.m. It's about, about 2 hours long. 2 hours long. Rain or shine, if it's not, as long as it's not a tornado type of weather, the tour will still go on. Just put that hair up in a ponytail, whatever we need to do. Come to the Shaw Neighborhood Tour. So Nate, we thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. It's been awesome. See you next time.